We're on the U of M campus today speaking to students about their views on different incidents that have taken place over the last year related to different cases, seeing whether or not they believe the media did a good job in covering it, and seeing as to where the gaps were. So we just want to know if people are informed, if they know about some of these issues that we bring up. Today's the day of the first day of sentencing for the case here in Minnesota related to the 9 young men who were plotting to go abroad. Just want to see if they're informed about what's going on and if they've heard of any different similar cases but that have been taken differently. So hope to see what people think. I just want to get your perspective on some things recently that's developed. Today was the sentencing for 9 young men facing charges for joining ISIS. Have you guys heard about that at all?
Nope. Not today, no.
You might have heard about the story of the 9 Somali young men on trial for ISIS-related charges. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I have.
Yep. 9 of them today and tomorrow and Wednesday are being sentenced to 15 years to life, which is like pretty heavy charges for heavy things to do, you know what I mean? Like joining ISIS is a very serious thing, and they're looking at very serious times. Have you guys kind of heard whispers about that or anything, any kind of coverage?
Just as far as generalizations in media about ISIS and just the enormous amount of Islamophobia in our country right now, yeah.
Yeah, and yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have heard that, sort of statistically a high number of people from Minnesota are going out to join ISIS, which is sort of disconcerting, and I think would be particularly disconcerting for a lot of, especially Muslim people in this area is sort of discomforting. So I know a little bit about it. Charges
facing them is mostly conspiracy to provide, material support to a terror group, which is pretty severe charges and pretty serious charges in terms of, what they were doing and the kind of context they were. Some of them were speaking to, and again, these are the 9 young men here, these are 10 of them right here pictured, but one of them here in right there actually went out there and he was friends with some of these guys, and he actually, they suspect, died in fighting. So that's them right there. Again, across the board, 15 to life, and they were charged with conspiracy to provide material support for a terror group, which is pretty heavy charges, wouldn't you say so?
I'd say so.
Yeah, very heavy. The charges, again, is mostly of them talking about this online, going online, and actually buying the tickets to go abroad. So did you hear about those details as well?
I knew about the purchasing tickets. Most of what I heard probably was several months ago.
Yep. During probably the initial trial or so. So do you think, do you guys think that's kind of it sounds like an appropriate sentence for something as this magnitude, correct? So do you think 15 to life, across the board is kind of like a just sentence?
They were just looking to, they were planning on to join ISIS, correct?
Yep.
They're being charged in the United States, right?
They're a federal courthouse right here in Minneapolis. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are pretty heavy sentences, and some people would say it warrants pretty heavy sentencing. So
I would say it should warrant fairly heavy sentences.
Yes. I also think we have too many people in jail for too many things. So I'm like, stop putting people in jail.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're gonna have to go through a lot of what they're talking about, but I mean, for what they're assuming it is, then yeah.
If the charges are true, that they should look at some serious punishment.
Yes.
I think they probably should spend some time in prison. Personally, I think a life sentence might be kind of heavy. I don't want to disregard the possibility that maybe they could turn their lives around.
More rehabilitation than punishment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of them they're saying, life, but they also say maybe 40, 50 years. I don't know anyone who would come out of jail 40, 50 years oh yeah, I feel good now. Everything's all cool.
Yeah.
I also want to ask people if they've heard about kind of a closer, similar case in a way in terms of the age. So have you ever been to Waseca, Minnesota at all?
It's sometime or other, yes, but not recently.
From Waseca, Minnesota. Have you guys heard of Waseca, Minnesota?
Yeah.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
Have you guys ever been to Waseca, Minnesota at all?
No.
Have you guys heard of Waseca, Minnesota?
I don't believe so.
I haven't.
This is new to me too. This guy's from Waseca, Minnesota. His name is Ledoux, French name I think, And did you hear about this at
I
all?
only live about 15 minutes away from Waseca, 20 minutes from Waseca.
You're very close to live from Waseca.
Yeah.
This happened?
Yep, about a couple years ago, a young man was found with bomb-making materials in a storage unit. He was found with a manifesto, and thank God somebody found him going, very shadily going in and out of a storage room, and they, tipped off the police. Like he was trying to kill his parents. He was going to blow up his school, and you think, like they definitely had to have dropped the hammer in terms of the sentencing for him too, right?
You'd think so, yeah.
You'd think so.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
More so than the other 9 guys just thinking about it.
Yeah. And so what we're just asking in terms of, how much do you think he was sentenced for actually having the materials and actually writing a manifesto and kind of taking the steps to, make serious harm?
Well, assuming that things are not very equal in this country, I'm guessing he got a light sentence.
Yep. Yeah.
Which doesn't seem very fair at all, does it?
Obviously, I would think that if you have a bomb that's illegal, that
Definitely more than illegal, yeah.
really scary and bad, but I have no idea how long you'd go to jail for because I've never looked into it because I don't want to have a bomb ever.
Would you guys be surprised if I told you he only served 2 years?
Yeah, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
Would you guys be surprised if I told you this guy got 2 years?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise me. I think that's a little appalling.
Yeah.
But I'm not particularly surprised.
Yeah. So would you be surprised if I told you he served 2 years?
No, I didn't know that.
You did know that. You heard about this.
Yeah, well, it was fairly big news.
Very big news in the local area, but it wasn't national news, I don't think.
No, just more state news.
More state news, more localized. He's actually served 2 years, and now he's on 10 years probation back in his childhood home. So does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is that we do not let other people in our country have a chance to, learn from mistakes, recover, do better in the future. I think we too often rely on very long sentences rather than evaluating people and seeing if they've made any changes that would allow them to safely be part of our society again.
So, thank goodness he was stopped. And do you guys think 2 years is kind of way much, lesser than he deserved?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think in terms of what he did and compared to what these guys did that the sentencing in and of itself was just at all?
I would say he should have gotten a little more time for plotting it, and to his public high school, he definitely should have gotten more to stay consistent with the rulings, I'd say.
Yeah, especially a little bit more than 2 years, and 10 years probation.
Yeah, so I think he should have gotten a little more, I'd say.
Would you guys be surprised if they showed you this picture? His name was Ledoux.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Would you guys be surprised if I told you his last name was Ledoux, a French name?
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
So we're just basically just showing whether or not people have heard of some of these things, whether or not there's not saying there's a media bias, but in terms of the intensity of the reporting, that there could be some kind of balance. So would you agree with something like that?
I'd definitely say there's a racial media bias in this country.
Yeah. And so kind of in general, from the point I've been making, do you guys, do you see that media bias? Do you see the kind of reporting bias at all?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after this conversation. It's so odd that these Somali men would be covered so much, and there are men who did something so much worse and we barely hear about them.
Obviously, I would think that if you have a bomb that's illegal,
Definitely more than illegal, yeah.